This is it. He is gone right now. He has no legs at all. And 10 seconds to go in a round. There's a left hand. He's down again. It's over. It's all over.
He hurt. His legs are gone. And in comes Mike. It was a big right hand. There he's gone again.
Mike Tyson once said he wanted to throw every punch with bad intentions. And when you see knockout number 2 on this list, you'll understand why grown men screamed in terror while watching it live. This wasn't boxing. This was complete and utter destruction. One of those knockouts made over $20 million in just 91 seconds. Another ended a legendary fighter's career instantly. And the number 1 knockout, it changed boxing history forever. If you think you've seen peak Mike Tyson, wait till you see what we've uncovered about these 5 devastating moments. This is gonna be wild. What's up, fight fans? Before we dive into the most savage knockouts in boxing history, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications because we're breaking down the moments that made Mike Tyson the most feared man on the planet. Iron Mike Tyson didn't just knock people out, he destroyed them. He ended careers, he created legends with his fists. Out of his 50 career wins, 44 came by knockout. That's an 88% knockout ratio. That's insane by any standard. But it's not just about the numbers, it's about how he did it. The speed, the power, the sheer violence of his combinations. Tyson in his prime was like watching a real-life video game character. Except his opponents couldn't just restart the game after getting hit. They had to live with the consequences. Today, we're counting down Tyson's 5 most brutal, most iconic, and most devastating knockouts. These aren't just wins. These are moments that defined an era. Moments that made grown men afraid to step into the ring. Moments that you'll never forget once you see them. We've done the research, watched the footage dozens of times, analyzed the technique, and ranked these based on historical significance, the quality of the opponent, and pure savagery. These fights showcase why Tyson was called Kid Dynamite, Iron Mike, and the baddest man on the planet. So buckle up, because we're about to relive the most violent moments in Mike Tyson's legendary career. Let's go. Coming in at number 5 is the knockout that announced to the world that Mike Tyson was not just hype, he was the real deal. And it happened in just 30 seconds. July 26, 1986, Glens Falls, New York. Mike Tyson versus Marvis Frazier, the son of legendary Smokin' Joe Frazier. This fight was broadcast on ABC's Wide World of Sports, giving Tyson mainstream exposure to millions of casual boxing fans who had never seen him fight before.
Uppercut, and Marvis is hurt.
Frazier is down. Joe Cortez moves in to have a look.
Marvis Frazier came into this fight with a solid 16-1 record. He was a legitimate contender, not some bum off the street. His only loss at that point was to Larry Holmes in a world title fight. This was supposed to be a test for the 20-year-old Tyson. Instead, it became a public execution. At the opening bell, Tyson didn't waste any time. He immediately went on the attack with his signature peekaboo style, bobbing and weaving while closing the distance. Frazier tried to establish his jab, but Tyson was just too fast. Within seconds, Tyson unleashed a vicious right uppercut that caught Frazier clean on the chin. Frazier's legs turned to rubber. He wasn't just hurt, he was gone. Tyson then followed up with a brutal series of power shots that had Frazier holding on for dear life. Then came the finish, another massive right uppercut, followed by a left hook, and Frazier crumpled to the canvas in a heap. He tried to get up, but his body wasn't responding. Referee Joe Cortez immediately jumped in and waved off the fight. Total time? 30 seconds, the fastest knockout of Mike Tyson's professional career. What made this knockout so significant wasn't just the speed, it was who it happened to and where it happened. This was on national television. This was the son of a legend, and Tyson made him look like he didn't belong in the same ring. Joe Frazier, watching from ringside, could only shake his head. His son, a legitimate heavyweight contender, had just been obliterated before he even broke a sweat. The boxing world was put on notice. Mike Tyson was something different, something special, something terrifying. Tyson later said about his mindset going into fights, "I wanted to be destructive. I wanted to be ferocious. I wanted to be horrifying." Against Marvis Frazier, he achieved all 3 goals in half a minute. This knockout is particularly brutal because you can see the moment Frazier realizes he's in over his head. The fear in his eyes when that first uppercut lands. The desperate attempt to survive that he knows is futile. It's not just a knockout. It's psychological warfare on display. The aftermath? Marvis Frazier never fully recovered. While he continued boxing for several more years, he was never the same fighter. Tyson had broken something inside him that couldn't be fixed. But that 30-second destruction was nothing compared to what Tyson did to a former Olympic champion in knockout number 4. Number 4 on our list isn't just about the knockout itself. It's about the punishment that led up to it. This was personal. This was a grudge match, and Tyson made Biggs pay for 7 brutal rounds. October 16, 1987. Convention Hall in Atlantic City, New Jersey. Mike Tyson was the unified WBA and WBC heavyweight champion. Tyrell Biggs was the undefeated 1984 Olympic gold medalist with a perfect 15-0 professional record. This should have been competitive. Instead, it was a massacre. Here's the backstory that makes this knockout so satisfying for Tyson fans. Biggs and Tyson had history from their amateur days. They were both part of the 1984 Olympic trials. But while Biggs went on to win Olympic gold, Tyson didn't even make the team. There was always tension between them, with reports that Biggs looked down on Tyson and trash-talked him during their amateur days. When they finally met up as pros, Tyson had revenge on his mind. He didn't just want to win. He wanted to make Biggs suffer. From the opening bell, Tyson went to work. But here's what made this fight different from his other early knockouts. Tyson deliberately prolonged the punishment. He wasn't looking for a quick finish. He wanted Biggs to feel every second of pain. Round after round, Tyson pounded Biggs with devastating body shots. Biggs was trying to survive, trying to use his reach and boxing skills. But Tyson was relentless. By the middle round, Biggs was visibly damaged. His face was swelling. His body was marked with red welts. He was in agony. In the 7th round, Tyson decided it was time to end it. He cornered Biggs and unleashed a ferocious combination of punches. A right hand to the body, an uppercut, another uppercut. Biggs was defenseless, just trying to cover up as Tyson teed off on him. Finally, referee Tony Orlando stepped in and stopped the fight. Biggs wasn't knocked down, but he was done. He couldn't defend himself anymore. The TKO stoppage was a mercy killing. What makes this knockout so brutal isn't just the finish. It's the entire 7 rounds of systematic destruction. Tyson broke Biggs down piece by piece, round by round, punch by punch.
This is it. He is gone right now. He has no legs at all. And 10 seconds to go in a round. There's a left hand. He's down again. It's over. It's all over.
It was like watching a master craftsman at work, except instead of creating something beautiful, he was creating carnage. After the fight, Biggs needed medical attention. His face was a mess. His body was covered in bruises, and worst of all, his undefeated record and his reputation were shattered. Tyson showed no remorse. When asked about the fight, he said he wanted Biggs to remember every second of it. Mission accomplished. This wasn't just a knockout. It was revenge, served cold over 7 brutal rounds. The boxing world took notice. If Tyson could do this to an Olympic gold medalist, what would he do to everyone else? The answer was coming soon. But that 7-round beatdown was child's play compared to what happened when Tyson fought the only man to ever knock out Larry Holmes. Knockout number 3 is the one that proved Mike Tyson wasn't just beating contenders. He was ending legends. And this legend happened to be one of the greatest heavyweight champions of all time. January 22nd, 1988, Atlantic City Convention Hall. Mike Tyson versus Larry Holmes. This fight had everything. History, storylines, and the passing of the torch from one era to another. Larry Holmes was 38 years old and had been inactive for nearly 2 years. But don't let that fool you. This was Larry Holmes, the man with a record of 48-0 before losing to Michael Spinks. The man who defended his heavyweight title 20 times. The man with arguably the best jab in heavyweight history. The man who had never been knocked out in his entire 75-fight career until he met Mike Tyson. Here's what made this fight so significant. Holmes had beaten Muhammad Ali in 1980 in Ali's final fight. Tyson idolized Ali. Before this fight, Tyson reportedly told Ali that he would avenge that loss for him. And he did it in the most violent way possible. From the opening bell, Tyson was a demon. He wasn't just trying to win. He was trying to hurt Holmes. The legendary Holmes jab, which had controlled so many fights, was useless against Tyson's speed and head movement. Tyson got inside and started unloading power shots to the body and head. Holmes tried everything. He tried to box. He tried to clinch. He tried to survive. Nothing worked. Tyson was too young. Too fast, too powerful. The age difference was showing, and it was brutal to watch. In the 4th round, Tyson unleashed hell. A massive right hand to the body doubled Holmes over. Then came a devastating right hand to the head that sent Holmes stumbling backward. Tyson pounced like a predator scenting blood, landing combination after combination. Then it happened. A thunderous right hook caught Holmes flush on the jaw. The great Larry Holmes, who had never been knocked out before, crashed to the canvas. His legs were gone. His pride was shattered. Referee Joe Cortez immediately waved off the fight without even counting. The image of Larry Holmes on the canvas, knocked out for the first time in his career, is one of the most iconic moments in boxing history. It symbolized the end of one era and the beginning of the Tyson era of dominance. Tyson had promised Muhammad Ali that he would avenge his loss to Holmes. He didn't just avenge it, he destroyed Holmes in a way that Ali never could. To this day, the Tyson knockout remains the only knockout loss of Larry Holmes' entire career.
Joe Cortez takes a look into the eyes. Larry gets nailed with the left hand, the right hand, digs to the body, goes to throw a right hand, gets clipped with a big right hand. He won't get up from this one. It's all over. Joe Cortez has seen enough.
But here's what makes this knockout even more impressive. After this fight, Holmes would go on to push Evander Holyfield and Oliver McCall in world title fights. He would defeat Ray Mercer. Holmes still had plenty left in the tank, which means Tyson didn't just knock out an old, washed-up legend. He knocked out a still dangerous fighter who happened to be past his prime. The victory cemented Tyson's status as the most dangerous heavyweight on the planet. If he could do this to Larry Holmes, one of the all-time greats, what couldn't he do? The entire heavyweight division was on notice. But even that destruction pales in comparison to knockout number 2, the one where you can hear a woman screaming in pure terror. Knockout number 2 is the one that still gives boxing fans nightmares. Not just because of the knockout itself, but because of the sound you can hear in the broadcast. A woman in the crowd screaming in absolute terror as she watches a man nearly get separated from his consciousness. This is the Carl "The Truth" Williams knockout, and it's as brutal as boxing gets. July 21st, 1989. Convention Hall in Atlantic City, New Jersey. This was Tyson's 9th and final title defense before his shocking upset loss to Buster Douglas. Tyson came into this fight at 37-0 with 33 knockouts. Williams was 20-0 with 15 knockouts. This was supposed to be a competitive fight between two undefeated heavyweights. It lasted 93 seconds. Carl Williams was no joke. He was a skilled boxer with good hand speed and legitimate power. He had the reach advantage, he had a solid game plan, and for about 60 seconds he was actually implementing it, using his jab to try to keep Tyson at a distance. But then Tyson slipped under Williams' jab and saw an opening. What happened next is one of the most devastating punches ever thrown in a boxing ring. Tyson weaved to his left, completely avoiding Williams' punch. Then he unleashed a left hook from hell that caught Williams perfectly on the chin. The sound of the impact was sickening. Williams' head snapped to the side with violent force. His knees buckled. His eyes rolled back. He staggered backward into the ropes and then fell to the canvas on his rear end. And that's when you hear it. That scream from a woman in the crowd. A primal scream of fear and horror at what she just witnessed. It's the kind of sound that makes you realize this isn't entertainment anymore. This is real violence happening to a real human being. Williams tried to beat the count. He got up at 8, but he was gone. His legs were betraying him. His equilibrium was destroyed. He was moving in slow motion. Referee Randy Newman took one look at Williams and waved the fight off immediately. The controversial part: some people, including Williams himself, believed he should have been allowed to continue. Williams appeared coherent enough to argue with the referee, but watch the footage again. The man could barely stand. Newman made the right call, potentially saving Williams from further brain damage. Tyson's left hook in this fight is often cited by trainers and boxing historians as the perfect example of a left hook. The timing, the placement, the power, everything was executed to perfection. Tyson rolled under the jab, shifted his weight, rotated his hips, and threw the hook all in one fluid motion. It was a masterclass in boxing technique, combined with knockout power. What makes this knockout so memorable beyond the screen? It's how effortless Tyson made it look. He didn't need a long combination or to soften Williams up with body shots. One perfectly timed punch, and it was over. That's peak Mike Tyson. The ability to end a fight with a single shot at any moment. Carl Williams would continue boxing for several more years, but he was never the same. That knockout took something from him. The aura of invincibility was gone. He had been on the receiving end of one of the most brutal knockouts in boxing history. and everyone knew it. This knockout also represents the last gasp of prime Tyson. 6 months later, he would lose to Buster Douglas in the biggest upset in boxing history. His life would spiral out of control. But on this night, in this moment, Tyson was still the most terrifying fighter on the planet. But even that wasn't Tyson's most important knockout. Number 1 changed boxing history forever and made Tyson over $20 million in less than 2 minutes. And now, the number 1 most brutal, most significant, and most iconic knockout in Mike Tyson's career: the destruction of Michael Spinks in just 91 seconds. This is the fight that boxing historians point to as the peak of Mike Tyson's powers, the moment when he was truly unstoppable. June 27, 1988. Convention Hall in Atlantic City, New Jersey. The fight was billed as Once and For All, a battle to determine who was the true heavyweight champion of the world. And it lived up to that name in the most spectacular fashion imaginable. Here's what made this fight so massive. Mike Tyson was the undisputed champion with the WBA, WBC, and IBF titles. But Michael Spinks held the Ring Magazine Championship and was considered the lineal champion. Spinks was undefeated at 31-0. He was a former light heavyweight champion who had moved up to heavyweight and beaten Larry Holmes twice to capture that heavyweight title. This was the biggest fight in boxing at the time. Both fighters were undefeated. Both had legitimate claims to being champion. Donald Trump promoted it. Muhammad Ali was at ringside. The gross revenue was $70 million, a record at the time. Tyson made approximately $20 to $22 million for the fight. Spinks made $13.5 million. Boxing experts were divided. Some picked Spinks because of his superior boxing skills and movement. They thought he could frustrate Tyson and win on points. Others picked Tyson because of his overwhelming power and aggression. What nobody predicted was what actually happened. According to reports, Tyson was angry before the fight. Spinks' team had been playing mind games, trying to get into Tyson's head. Instead, it backfired spectacularly. Tyson was backstage punching holes in the dressing room wall. He told his corner he was going to hurt Spinks. He meant it. When the bell rang, Tyson came out like a man possessed. Spinks immediately began moving backward, trying to create distance. But Tyson cut off the ring expertly, trapping Spinks along the ropes. Then Tyson unloaded. A massive right hand to the body hurt Spinks badly. You could see the pain on his face. He clinched and tried to survive, but Tyson wouldn't let him breathe. At the 50-second mark, Tyson landed a left uppercut followed by a right hand that put Spinks down for the first time in his professional career. Spinks got up at the count of 4, but he was hurt. His legs were unsteady, his confidence was shattered, and Tyson could smell the fear. Tyson famously said after the fight, "I could see the fear come into his eyes." Spinks tried to reset, but Tyson was relentless. He drove Spinks back with his pressure, and then landed a left hook to the body followed by a right hand to the head. Spinks went down again. This time, he couldn't get up. He tried twice to rise, but his legs wouldn't cooperate. Referee Frank Cappuccino counted him out. Total fight time? 91 seconds. Just 1 minute and 31 seconds to settle the biggest question in boxing. Just 91 seconds to earn over $20 million. Just 91 seconds to cement Mike Tyson's legacy as one of the most devastating punchers in boxing history.
Tyson not afraid, as we expected, and Spinks ready to mix it up with him. Tyson along the ropes doing damage.
Michael Spinks has to keep moving because every shot...
Uppercut landed inside and Spinks went down.
The statistics are insane. Only 10 punches were landed in the entire fight. 8 by Tyson, 2 by Spinks. No clinches occurred. The fight was so one-sided that the Ring Magazine named it the round of the year for 1988, despite it being the only round. What makes this knockout the most brutal on our list? It's not just the violence, it's the significance. This was supposed to be a competitive fight between 2 all-time greats in their prime. Instead, Tyson made it look like a mismatch. He completely broke Spinks' will to fight in under 2 minutes. Michael Spinks retired immediately after this fight. He never fought again. One of the greatest fighters of his era, undefeated at 31-0, with wins over Larry Holmes and multiple title defenses, gone in 91 seconds. That's how utterly dominant Tyson was on this night. The psychological impact was devastating not just for Spinks, but for the entire heavyweight division. After this performance, Nobody wanted to fight Mike Tyson. He had proven beyond any doubt that he was the baddest man on the planet. He was unbeatable. He was terrifying. Looking back now, boxing historians consider this the absolute peak of Mike Tyson's career. He was 21 years old. He was unified champion. He had just destroyed an undefeated legend in under 2 minutes. At that moment, Mike Tyson seemed invincible. It seemed like he would dominate heavyweight boxing for the next decade. Of course, we know that's not what happened. Personal problems, the loss to Buster Douglas, prison time, all of that was coming. But on June 27, 1988, for 91 glorious seconds, Mike Tyson was the closest thing boxing has ever seen to a perfect fighting machine. These knockouts represent the peak of Mike Tyson's powers. They show us what happens when speed, power, technique, and killer instinct all come together in one fighter. Tyson in his prime wasn't just winning fights. He was ending careers. He wasn't just knocking people out. He was breaking their will. What's your favorite Mike Tyson knockout? Did we miss any that should have made the list? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you think Tyson would have beaten any heavyweight from any era, let us know who you'd want to see him fight. Before you go, make sure to smash that like button if you enjoyed this trip down memory lane. Subscribe and hit the notification bell. Mike Tyson's knockout reel is the stuff of legends. These 5 moments capture why he's one of the most iconic and feared fighters to ever step into a boxing ring. Love him or hate him, you can't deny the impact he had on the sport. Thanks for watching, and remember, Mike Tyson once said, "Everyone has a plan until they get punched in the mouth." These 5 fighters learned that lesson the hard way.